Most of you guys know I've been giving GMC and Chevy a lot of accolades today, and the reason why, as I've said in the past, a lot of it has to do with the pricing. They are typically the cheaper truck out there, and they still give you a lot of nice features for the money. Today it's time to tear them down just a little bit because I was really hoping to see something change with this truck in particular. Not the AT4. I think the AT4 is near perfect, just near it. But I'm talking about long bed trucks. Now most of us can agree that if someone's buying a long bed pickup, 9 times out of 10 they're probably going to be doing some work. I've never heard of anyone buying a long bed just to cruise around in. Now most people buy this configuration simply because they either are planning on towing a gooseneck or fifth wheel trailer, therefore it gives them better clearance. Maybe they plan on getting a bed camper because obviously the longer bed gives them more space for a slightly larger one, so that way they have more space inside of the bed camper. And if you plan on doing some type of towing, you might be going longer distance. So there's a lot of reasons why the long bed makes more sense. You have more storage, you know, before that fifth wheel prep package, which means you can carry more stuff too. GM is the only truck in the segment that does not offer these two options for the long bed. And we're going to go over them in this video. So hang tight. This is going to be a good one. I borrowed this truck from Jerry Seiner, Buick GMC here in South Jordan, Utah. It is available for sale. Be sure to ask for Frank. And let's go ahead and check out the window sticker really quickly. This is the Thunderstorm Gray. This is a 3500. And as you pretty much can tell, it's an AT4. And as I said in the last video I did on this truck, this is the only HD in the segment that you can get with a long bed. You cannot get a long bed with the trimmer package or the Rebel or Power Wagon package. Base price on this truck is $72,400. This one has a diesel, AT4 Premium Plus, gooseneck. You have to pay a little bit extra for that Thunderstorm Gray, and it has a trailer tire pressure, which is a must-have for only $50. Destination comes in at $1995 with a total price of $89,510. So as I said earlier, and again, they truly are the cheaper truck in the segment. So when you consider a long bed Lariat, has the twin panel moonroof, power deployable running boards, maybe it has the Black Appearance Edition package, that truck's gonna probably run you about $94,000 in a very similar configuration. So yeah, this truck definitely wins on pricing. And on the Ram spectrum, a Laramie can probably run you probably about the same amount of money now, but it'll probably be a little bit in the $90,000 range. It's gonna be a little bit more money, but you have a smaller cab, and yeah, I think that Ram just has a little bit more work to do before they can say they can be strong competition against these trucks. But here's my first point. Obviously, when you buy a big truck like this, especially if you plan on towing, going long distance is very important. I don't understand why every HD truck does not have a 36-gallon fuel tank or larger. Or wait, if you get a standard bed GMC, they do give you a standard 36-gallon fuel tank. So with that being said, this truck does have a 36-gallon fuel tank, standard. So if you get the standard bed, Ford's is going to be a 34-gallon. Ram is basically 31 gallons for standard bed, which is very disappointing. So yes, on the standard bed spectrum, GM does win. However, if you're looking at a Ford with the long bed, you're going to have a 48-gallon fuel tank.
So here's the back of the tank. There's not a ton of room right there, but they probably have space maybe to add a little bit more tank to go back that way. And then obviously they can always allow it to sit a little bit lower to get more capacity. But here's the front of the tank. You can see right there, that's the fuel filter. And then that's the front of the tank, so to speak. And then I believe that's the DEF tank right there. So there's a little bit of space between there. And I feel like
They could potentially get maybe a 40 or 42. I mean, hey, a little plus a little bit equals a lot. Let's just be honest here. I mean, I know that they probably don't maybe have the amount of space they need, but even if they needed to go dual tank, having the option, some people prefer that. And right now, if you decided, man, I gotta have at least a 50-gallon fuel tank, GM doesn't offer that for you, whether it be Chevy or GMC. And that goes for the dually trucks as well. So if you get a dually pickup, the largest fuel tank you can get is 36 gallons. As I said earlier, Ford gives you standard 48 gallons extra on their long bed trucks. Now you might be wondering, does Ford give you that 48-gallon fuel tank on the 3/4 ton? The answer is yes. Ram also has the option to get a larger fuel tank. Now here's where GM does kind of beat Ram. If you're looking at 3/4 ton trucks, yes, GM wins. Because the Ram trucks, you only can get a 50-gallon option on the tradesman 3/4 ton pickups. Therefore, if you get anything above a tradesman, you would have a 32-gallon fuel tank standard. And that's in part to the fact that they just don't have enough payload to, use a larger fuel tank, because obviously more fuel obviously means you're gonna have a little bit less payload capacity, right? With that being said, if you get a 1-ton Ram, you can get the 50-gallon fuel tank across the board. And that to me is far greater than having a 36-gallon fuel tank. So the option, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's not much more than $300. I want to say it's like somewhere in the ballpark of $300 to get that 50-gallon upgrade, and that's nothing. Now let's go online really quickly, because you can get a Titan upgrade. I was actually going to do it on my black dually truck that I had, because I was planning on getting a 45-foot toy hauler, and I was thinking maybe we can use that to go travel to and fro the East Coast, and we can put our car in the back. But yeah, that didn't happen, and yeah, I never got the tank. But yeah, this is the one I was going to get right here. Now this is the specs for the Titan tank. It says 60 gallons, so obviously this is better than what you can get even from the factory from the other two. So it's $1,367. And they do have some specs here for it too. The only negative thing about these aftermarket larger fuel tanks is sometimes your miles till empty will not work correctly. So that's something that you might have to consider. So Titan has one. I will put this one down below if you would like to purchase it on Amazon and get a small commission on that. But also S&B does have one too. I don't have any experience with them. A couple of my friends had the Titan one. That's why I always talk about this one. I have no information on the S&B. They're probably good tanks too. 60 gallons, just like the Titan one is. It looks like it's a little bit cheaper too also, so just keep that in mind as well. Here's my final point. Obviously, payload capacity is very important. Whenever you get a long bed Ford, they're going to increase the gross fuel weight reading by 400 pounds. Ram is about the same, except they go from 11,800 pound GVWR to a 12,300 pound. I'm talking about 1-ton pickups here, by the way. So you go from 11.8 gross fuel weight to 12.3, which is 500 pounds extra. Now, obviously, the reason why they do that is because, yes, you're adding more weight to the truck because you have a longer bed, but because you have a larger bed, it means you can carry more stuff. And typically, longer bed trucks have better towing capacity because when you stretch out that wheelbase, you actually have a better towing pickup. So let's see what GM does. So the standard bed gross fuel weight reading is going to be 12,100 pounds. So you guys see right here, it's 12,250. So they do increase it by 150 pounds. Now, obviously, that's enough weight, obviously, to add, for additional payload because they're making up for the bed size. But on this truck, it only has 3,692 pounds. A comparable Ford is going to have over or about 4,000 pounds of payload capacity. So in the grand scheme of things, if they had a larger fuel tank, this number could look closer to like 3,500 pounds, just simply because of the extra capacity. So in theory, if they did add an additional 300 pounds, which would be 450, you know, kind of right in the middle, this truck would have an additional 350 pounds of capacity, which means it would have 4,000, I had to do the math real quick, I had to do the math right here, 4,042 pounds of payload. So then they would be in line with Ford. However, keep in mind, it would be lower if they added a 50-gallon or even a 48-gallon fuel tank to this truck, because that extra weight of the fuel in a slightly larger tank would weigh something too. So it would probably still be under 4,000 pounds, which would still be good because, again, you have better stability, slightly larger truck for those bigger tasks. But I hope you guys liked the video. As you guys saw, this truck does have good capacity overall. I mean, having close to 3,700 pounds of payload is pretty dang good still. I mean, really, you normally jump to about 4,500 to 4,700 pounds to get that extra capacity, because that puts you in a different segment of trailer in some cases, depending on how you load your truck, obviously, when you go up to that 4,500 to 4,700 pounds of payload. And then, of course, above 5,000, you're pretty much in dually territory. But I think that GM has some work to do on this truck. If you're looking at long bed trucks, GM trucks really are lacking in having the payload and then obviously having that fuel capacity, and they can fix that really easily. I mean, they've already increased their gross fuel weight rating. They could go in an additional 350 pounds even as an option with a larger fuel tank, and I would like to see that for 2026 maybe. So who knows, maybe in the future we'll probably see that. And yeah, somebody's recording me, by the way, which is kind of funny. I'm gonna zoom in on them real quickly. Somebody's like recording me in that room there. Too funny. But yes, hope you guys liked the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. See you guys soon.